In the 1930s, a small demon began appearing in American advertisements. He wore a pale suit, had a thin mustache and a strong jaw, and showed up whenever somebody's life was about to collapse. A husband loses his temper. A performer nearly wrecks her career. A family starts turning on each other. And somewhere nearby, enjoying the chaos, is the creature responsible. His name is Mr. Coffee Nerves. He wasn't invented by a modern comedian making fun of old advertising. He was the actual recurring villain in ads for Postum, a caffeine-free drink made from roasted grain. His job was to enter people's lives through their coffee cups and ruin everything. He broke up families, destroyed careers, and in one ad, encouraged an angry homeowner to kill his neighbor's chickens and throw them through the front door. Coffee didn't just keep you awake. It could enter your home dressed like a minor vaudeville villain and talk you into a felony. But Mr. Coffee Nerves wasn't the beginning of this story. He was the final form of a campaign started decades earlier by a sick businessman named C.W. Post. Post didn't create Mr. Coffee Nerves. Mr. Coffee Nerves was his legacy. Because Post had discovered an extremely effective way to sell people fake coffee. First, convince them the real stuff was poisoning them. Before he became a breakfast food millionaire, Post spent years struggling with poor health. In 1891, he traveled to Battle Creek, Michigan, and entered Dr. John Harvey Kellogg's sanitarium as a patient. Battle Creek was not an ordinary place to be sick. The sanitarium was part hospital, part health retreat, and part extremely strict summer camp for adults whose intestines had disappointed them. Its health reformers tried to repair the body with exercise, carefully controlled food, and the removal of anything considered too stimulating. And they thought modern people were being stimulated by almost everything. Meat was suspicious. Spices were suspicious. Sexual desire was treated like a small electrical fire. Coffee joined the list for its irritating habit of making tired people briefly feel less tired. Kellogg and the people around him were already making toasted grain drinks as alternatives to coffee, so the basic idea wasn't new. Post later said the sanitarium hadn't helped him, but Battle Creek had shown him something useful. People were willing to give up familiar foods and drinks if they believed the replacement was healthier. Kellogg accused Post of borrowing ideas from the sanitarium, and maybe some ideas did follow him out the door. But roasted grain coffee substitutes were already around. Post's real talent wasn't inventing the drink. It was giving people a reason to fear what it replaced. In 1895, he launched Postum, a dark drink made primarily from roasted wheat, bran, and molasses. From far enough away, it looked like coffee. Unfortunately, coffee smelled better, tasted stronger, and contained caffeine, which was one of the main reasons people liked it. Post could have tried to persuade America that hot wheat water was delicious. Instead, he gave it an enemy. By April of 1895, Postum had made only $856 in total sales. In 1898, sales reached $840,000. The drink hadn't changed that much. The story around it had. Post became one of the most aggressive advertisers in the new packaged food industry. And he didn't merely suggest that some people might feel better with less caffeine. He diagnosed the reader. Are you nervous? Are you sleeping badly? Does your stomach hurt? Are you exhausted, irritable, or becoming unbearable to everyone in your home? According to Post, coffee might be responsible. His ads blamed it for insomnia, indigestion, heart trouble, poor work performance, failing eyesight, emotional instability, and family conflict. He used medical-sounding phrases like coffee heart and coffee neuralgia. You weren't shaky because you'd consumed an alarming amount of caffeine before breakfast. You had coffee nerves. And once the problem had a name, Post could sell the cure. The ads usually followed the same little story. Someone is suffering. Nothing helps. Then, the hidden cause is revealed. Coffee. They give it up, start drinking Postum, and suddenly they can sleep again. Their headaches disappear. Their family can safely re-enter the room. One advertisement declared, "The stronger you drink Postum, the more food you get. The stronger you drink coffee, the more poison you get." Post had discovered that fear could sell more than a drink. Soon, he was using the same method to sell breakfast. And this worked, partly because it wasn't complete nonsense. Too much caffeine can cause anxiety, poor sleep, an upset stomach, jitters, headaches, and heart palpitations. Some people who quit coffee really would feel better. Post took that reasonable possibility and stretched it until coffee became a universal explanation for human misery. The honest version was, coffee can cause unpleasant effects in some people. Post's version was, you feel bad, you drink coffee, I believe we've found the culprit. He didn't need every customer to believe every claim. He only needed them to wonder whether their suffering might have one simple cause. Real suffering is complicated. One drink secretly causing all of it is manageable. And conveniently, the man who identified the poison also sold the antidote. Postum became the foundation of the Postum cereal company. Post introduced grape nuts in 1897, a cereal containing neither grapes nor nuts. Apparently, naming products accurately was not yet a priority. By the early 20th century, Post was a millionaire. The sick man who'd entered Battle Creek looking for a cure had built an empire, selling clean, commercial explanations for other people's suffering. But his own health problems continued. In 1914, after surgery and further pain and depression, C.W. Post died by suicide at 59. There's no need to turn his death into a punishment or a tidy moral. But there is a sad contradiction here. Post's advertisements offered simple causes and clean cures. His own suffering gave him neither. The company passed to his daughter, Marjorie Merriweather Post, and kept growing. So did the campaign against coffee. In the late 1930s, artists Milton Caniff and Noel Sickles worked on Postum comic strip ads under the shared name Paul Arthur. Their villain was Mr. Coffee Nerves, that little demon who showed up whenever coffee supposedly ruined someone's life. In the ads, Mr. Coffee Nerves usually appeared after someone snapped at their family, embarrassed themselves, or made a mess of something important. Coffee was blamed. Postum was brought in, and before long, everyone was getting along again. Post never lived to see the character, but the ads were still following the logic he created decades earlier. Coffee had already been blamed for wrecking people's nerves, health, careers, and families. Mr. Coffee Nerves just gave all of that panic a face. There was, however, a problem with continuing to present coffee as a demon bent on destroying the American family. The company was also selling coffee. The Postum Cereal Company acquired Maxwell House in 1928 and renamed itself General Foods in 1929. So while Mr. Coffee Nerves was destroying marriages in Postum ads, the same corporation was selling Americans Maxwell House. By then, the anti-coffee crusade had become pretty flexible. General Foods owned Maxwell House, sold Sanka as a lower caffeine option, and kept Postum around for people who wanted nothing to do with coffee at all. The company didn't need to take a side. It could make money from all of them. By 1951, General Foods had gone far enough that it entered an agreement with the Federal Trade Commission. It agreed to stop suggesting that coffee had any meaningful effect on divorce, business failures, factory accidents, juvenile delinquency, traffic accidents, fires, or home foreclosures. Coffee could still make you nervous. It just couldn't be held responsible for the collapse of civilization. Postum also found a lasting audience in some Seventh-day Adventist and Latter-day Saint households. It wasn't created specifically for either group, but it let people who avoided coffee keep the ritual of a hot morning drink without actually drinking coffee. Mr. Coffee Nerves looks ridiculous now. He's a theatrical little villain from a world where one cup could destroy your career, end your marriage, and escalate a dispute over wandering chickens into a poultry massacre before lunch. But the strategy behind him is still familiar. Find something uncomfortable in a person's life. Give it a frightening name. Reveal the hidden cause. Then, sell the cure. C.W. Post didn't need to prove that coffee caused every problem. He only needed people to distrust something they already loved. That doubt helped build a food empire. And decades after Post was gone, more than 40 years of fear-based advertising finally got a face. Mr. Coffee Nerves. Long before wellness became an industry, C.W. Post discovered that the easiest way to sell a cure was to convince people their morning cup was the root of all evil. Still curious? Choose another strange thing before the sack opens. Like and subscribe.